Nevelson was an American sculptor best known for her monochromatic wooden assemblages. In 1950, she began to create unique arrangements contained in wooden frames amassed from a range of found objects. These were then painted a uniform black, white, or gold. "I think most artists create out of despair," Nevelson observed. "The very nature of creation is not a performing glory on the outside. It's a painful, difficult search within." Born on September 23, 1899, in the present-day Ukraine, her family immigrated to the United States a few years after her birth. Nevelson moved to New York in 1920 and enrolled in the Art Students League in 1929. She had her first solo exhibit at the Nierendorf Gallery in 1941. Nevelson died in 1988 in New York, at the age of 88. She remains one of the most important figures in 20th century American sculpture.
Mary Cassatt was an American Impressionist painter. Her family believed that traveling was important for a good education, but she began studying at the Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Arts in Philadelphia at the age of 16. She continued studying art there until the end of the American Civil War. She did not feel that she was learning enough at the academy. The teachers did not feel it was important to teach a woman how to paint, and she did not have all the resources that the other students did. And so Mary Cassatt moved to Paris with her mother in 1866, at the age of 22. Women were not allowed to study at the art school there, and so she took private lessons with some of the art teachers. Fellow artist Edgar Degas invited her to join the Impressionists, which she happily did. She wanted young American artists to be able to study great paintings without traveling to Europe. She also supported women's rights and inspired many women who wanted to become artists.
Norma Sklaric was born in 1926 in Harlem, New York. Her aptitude for math and art prompted her father to suggest architecture as a career. She attended the School of Architecture at Columbia University, graduating in 1950 as one of 2 women and the only African American in her class. Sklaric faced discrimination in her search for work as an architect, applying and being rejected by 19 firms before being offered a job. She believed that architecture should be working on improving the environment of people in their homes, places of work, and recreation. It should be functional and pleasant, not just in the image of the ego of the architect. Sklaric would be the first African American woman to receive many awards and appointments. In 2008, the AIA honored her with the Whitney M. Young Jr. Award, which recognizes an architect or organization embodying the profession's responsibility to address social issues.
Dorothea Lange, a studio portrait photographer in San Francisco, was so moved by the jobless and homeless in local breadlines and soup kitchens that she began making street portraits, showing in stark black and white what the shortage of work and hope was doing to people who were too often and too easily unseen and overlooked. Lange had personal empathy for the physically disabled. She walked with a deep limp. "I am trying here to say something about the dispirited, the defeated, the alienated," said Lange, "about the wounded, the crippled, the helpless, the rootless."
Whitehorse is a painter and printmaker. Whitehorse makes personal diaries of her life as an artist and of her Aboriginal heritage. She creates textures and colors that conjure up the atmosphere and experience of New Mexico landscape. She says, "As an artist, I have intentionally avoided politically oriented subject matter and angst-ridden or physical wrestling with the act of painting itself. In accordance with Navajo philosophy, the act of making art must stay true to a harmonious balance of beauty, nature, humanity, and the whole universe. My paintings tell a story of knowing land over time. The intricate language of symbols refers to specific plants, people, and experiences. My work is about and has always been about land, about being aware of our surroundings and appreciating the beauty of nature." I am concerned that we no longer are aware of those things. The calm and beauty that is in my work, I hope, serves as a reminder of what is underfoot, of the exchange we make with nature. Light, space, and color are the axis around which my work evolves.
Mary Blair's name might not be as recognizable as a lot of the animators, especially the ones that became the 9 Men. To the people who knew about her art at Disney, she's adored and respected enormously.
When I think of my dreams, like as a kid, I see Mary Blair-like colors.
Mary was really pushing the envelope of what animation was.
She had a special eye, and this heart of a child comes into the drawings and makes it irresistible.
And yes, Walt Disney asked her to come and design the look of the Small World ride.
By Mary Blair's emotional use of color.
I think Mary Blair, somehow when I look at her paintings, kind of identified with the character of Cinderella as this sole character who had to go it alone. You have to remember, at the studio at that time, it was very, very rare in the 40s and 50s for a woman to be put in a truly key position at the studio as an artist.
By the mid-1920s, O'Keeffe was recognized as one of America's most important and successful artists, known for her paintings of New York skyscrapers as well as her equally radical depiction of flowers. O'Keeffe began to spend her summers in northern New Mexico. The stark landscape and Native American and Hispanic cultures of the region inspired a new direction in O'Keeffe's art. She made this state her permanent home in 1949. At the age of 73, she took on a new subject, aerial views of clouds and sky. Suffering from macular degeneration and failing vision, O'Keeffe painted her last unassisted oil painting in 1972. However, O'Keeffe's will to create did not diminish with her eyesight. In 1977, at the age of 90, she observed, "I can still see what I want to paint. The thing that makes you want to create is still there." Late in life and almost blind, she enlisted the help of several assistants to enable her to continue creating art. In these works, she drew on favorite motifs from memory and her vivid imagination.
She's one of the most important artists of our time. She expanded the language of abstract expressionism. She influenced numerous artists. She did the work of men at a time when no one else was doing this.
My father thought I was special from the day I was born. And as a result, I guess I felt special and somehow became what he projected onto me, which was special. The whole idea of working on the floor, working from all sides, and in a way, dishonoring everything that painting had been about, assuming you knew everything it was about and loved it, so that you could learn it all and throw it out. You sit up when you paint a picture and it is facing you closely. No, you're waltzing all around it and it's on the floor. And maybe you make a mess and you throw it out, and it's not precious goods, your precious goods.
Hung Lu was born in Changchun, China in 1948. She grew up in Beijing during the time of Mao Zedong. After finishing high school in 1968, she was sent to the countryside for 4 years during the Cultural Revolution, where she worked with peasants in rice, wheat, and cornfields 7 days a week. During this time, she photographed and painted these people, and they remain the subjects of her paintings today. Hung wanted to give these people a life of beauty and respect in her paintings. Hung attended the Central Academy of Art in Beijing and waited 7 years for the Chinese government to approve her passport to pursue her master's degree in painting at UC San Diego. Since her arrival in the U.S., Hung's works have been collected and exhibited by this nation's top museums. Hung Lu has twice received prestigious fellowships from National Endowments for the Arts and the Joan Mitchell Foundation.
My story as an artist is who I am. That's where the art comes from. There was a tremendous cultural activity going on in Harlem. The first time when black people felt comfortable about showing their own image. And I said, boy, I can combine all of this European composition with my ancestral African roots in quilt making. Create from my experience. I became an artist so that I could tell my story. And I just decided, when somebody says you can't do something, do more of it, accelerate. That's the way you get it done.